One. Hello and welcome to the Next Step Help podcast. My name is Sam and I'm here today with Jack. We are on episode 5.
Big five.
Big 5 already. And today's episode is one that I think is really cool, really special and really important. Today's episode is brothers versus friends.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about brothers, we don't mean biological brothers. There's quite an obvious difference there. We mean like people in your brotherhood, people who you trust a lot. They're more than close friends. So Jack, could you give me a quick summary on the difference between brothers and friends?
So a brother is someone who fundamentally you just trust with anything. You could go to them with anything and they'd be happy to help, listen, give you advice, any of that. A friend is someone who you're happy to hang out with. Maybe you don't trust them fully, you're not that close. It's someone who you can have a nice time with. And there's definitely a distinction. Jordan Peterson says it quite nicely. So he says to work out your real friends, but I believe this is more about brothers. To work out your real friends, if you go up to someone with some sort of news, some event that's happened, something you're really excited about, and you go to your brother will be excited and celebrate with you. A friend or an enemy will not be happy for you. They'll be, annoyed. They'll try to change it to them. They'll be like, "Oh, you do this, blah blah blah." So I go up to Sam and say, "Hey, Sam, I've just run a marathon today." And if Sam was a brother, he'd be super excited, cheering me on. "Let's go! That's awesome." If Sam was a friend, he might be going, "Oh, well, I ran, 2K this morning," all that sort of thing. So I think you can. Yeah, this is a decent explanation for the difference between a brother and a friend. Maybe it's more about the difference between like a positive friend and a negative friend. So like someone who's competitive against you and feels that your relationship has got to be a one-upping each time, as opposed to someone who really wants to be there for you and help you, and he's growing alongside you. And I think that for me is the difference between a brother and a friend.
Yeah, there are many different ways to say it. We like to say brother, brother and friend, right? But I mean, I've heard people say like true friends and degenerate friends, which I think is a little bit demeaning. I don't think that you necessarily have to say that, but I totally understand that meaning. People say like oh no, if you're over the age of 12 and you're using my best friends like plural, I don't really think that's a great way to be looking at it. But yeah, the competitive friend, as Jack said, fundamentally, you're scared to go and tell them about your successes. You're scared that you're going to make them feel bad, make them feel insecure, and you will make them feel bad or insecure. They might be levels below you, all right? They might view themselves as levels below you, okay? Whereas a collaborative friend will be someone who you're, as Jack said, very excited to share experiences with and really excited to talk about anything with, usually.
100%. Yeah. So usually a brother is someone who's on a self-improvement journey, or if they're not specifically on it, you can go to them and chat about it. They're happy to engage, that sort of thing. If you bring up self-improvement with friends who aren't in that sort of space, your competitive friends, they will, attack you back. Just the whole mood just goes down tenfold because you make them feel insecure by bringing up your achievements because they're sat there thinking, "I wish I'd done that. I wish that I was doing what he's done and I haven't. And this is an insecurity in me. And now I'm going to attack him to make myself feel better." So we've said that a brother is effectively better than a friend in some regards. And Sam, does that mean you should try and get all of your friends onto self-improvement? Turn all your friends into brothers,
Right.
Is that helpful?
First of all, you can try, right? But I don't think you'll get very far. And it's not actually like that to have, your brothers aren't just better than your friends. Your brothers are more important. And I think that's the difference is when we talk about stuff, Jack, we don't really hold back our feelings. If you do something that pisses me off, I tell you. If I do something that pisses you off, you tell me. If I think you could have done something better, I tell you. If you think I could have done something better, you tell me it. Because there's that knowledge between us that we both want to improve our lives substantially, and we know that taking that initial hit to our egos will ultimately make us better.
Yes, and this is learning to effectively take criticism, and this is something so Sam and I 100%. You'd hope we're brothers, considering we're business partners. We're 100% brothers. We chat often. We're open. We're willing to learn, and we're on this growth journey together. And this is something that you need to sort of have an explicit discussion with some of your brothers. So to call you out on, your bullshit, to tell you, to like advise how could they do this. And there's a line that needs to be drawn between listening and giving advice. And this is sort of to do with energy. So the feminine energy will sort of sympathize and say, oh, it's all right, it's all fine. Don't worry, it will get better. And then the masculine energy goes, okay, I see your problem. Like you got broken up with. How can I fix this? You start giving advice, and you need to effectively learn to do this through trial and error of having enough support so that they feel heard, their needs, their wants, they've been understood by you. And then the masculine to then start looking proactively at how can we improve this? Because you don't, your friends, if they're nice friends, will probably just sit in feminine energy. They tell you it's all right. They, come around, bring you hot chocolate in bed or whatever. And the brothers, a good brother will balance this really well by acknowledging where you're at, understanding, repeating back to you so you feel heard. And then start, when ready and when you're ready for it, giving you advice of how to improve. And Sam and I think we do this really effectively because we've set up the intention that this is what our brotherhood is going to do. We're going to understand and give advice. So this is the bit, and it hurts. The ego, when Sam calls me out my bullshit, it stings, man. And it's really annoying because, I don't want to be called out on it. And it just, it makes me step back and then I go, yep, he's right.
And I think that is an important reason, like, even if you get someone on self-improvement or meet someone on self-improvement, it doesn't necessarily mean they will want to be your brother or that you'll want to be theirs, okay? Yes. Because it's not just about we both want to improve. You can have someone who's a very competitive friend. I've actually had friends like this, very competitive, on the exact same level as you, and yet there is going to be no brotherhood there, okay? So when you know someone's a brother is when they criticize you when you do something bad, quite openly, and they absolutely hype the shit out of you when you do something good. I mean, 100%. So what I'm trying to say is, should you try and get your friends on self-improvement? Maybe. But should you do it so that you can have brothers? No, that's not going to work. If you don't feel like they could be your brother now, getting them on self-improvement might just turn them into a competitive friend instead of a collaborative one.
100%. And this is something that's like really hard to do. You can't move somebody. You can't bring someone up if they don't want to be brought up. Other people, you can't say, come with me, we're going to go do self-improvement, because they'll resist it. So you can A, lead by example, or B, and this is slightly hard to do, subtly do it. So I think Sam has a good quote from Hamza about, how you could try and do this.
It's not a quote. I'm not that much of a fanboy. I don't quote him, but I think he talks about how you should get them to do one thing, or get them to do one thing with you. And I think that is an excellent way to do it. I really do. Going to the gym with a friend is a great thing to do. Going to, play a sport with them, maybe like tennis or something, a one-on-one sport that you can just practice with each other for ages. Something like that will help them kind of find their own journey, because they're having fun, especially if it's like a sport or if it's the gym, they're improving themselves and you happen to be there, rather than you going, right, we're going for a run, or right, why, or even worse, right? Say you ask, how was your day? They tell you what happened in their day and you're like, why did you start playing video games at 8 p.m? Listen, if Jack did that to me, that would piss me off, even though he'd probably be right. If a stranger did that to me, or not a brother, and not even a close friend, I think I'd blow my fucking fuse. right?
Yep. It would be over. It would be over.
Mm.
So we've made this distinction. Is there any use to having, friends on the outside? So not just brothers. Is there, should you have a balance?
100%.
Is there?
There are times where we have been at a party, both of us, and I don't want to talk to you.
Same party.
And I don't want to talk to you because because I know that if I talk to you, my self-improvement mode's going to activate, your self-improvement mode's going to activate, and we're going to start being really serious when I'm really pissed at this party. That's not going to make me feel fun. And if I've had a really stressful day working on the business, then if I hang out with you, I'm just going to talk about improvement in the business and the stuff. And I'm not saying we can't relax together, we can't hang out. You can't do that with your brothers. Some of the best times are going to be with your brothers, but they're not going to be at the pub drinking pints or watching YouTube together or on Netflix playing video games. They're going to be when you go hiking or when you do like camping in the woods or go to the gym together. So having those friends on the outside who aren't on self-improvement, it's so beneficial, and it's even helpful to your entire self-improvement journey as a whole because it teaches you how to relax. Okay, and don't get like I was until quite recently, where I was like, my friends would message, they'd be like, do you want to go out tonight? I'd be like, well, I could go out tonight, or I could, read 20,000 pages of a book and meditate for 4 hours, right? Initially, you're going to think, okay, well, it's a waste of time. I'm not going to go and do all that. It's teaching you social skills without you even knowing it, right? And that's something which is very helpful to have. So brothers, very important. Normal friends, I would say equally as important.
Yeah. I do think we need to sort of clarify some of the things in this. So, this doesn't mean, okay, I've got a brother, that means I spend, 1 hour with him and then the rest with just my friends watching Netflix. It's you need to find a good balance with self-improvement and then relaxing. And this doesn't mean you have to, go and binge watch Netflix, do all your bad habits. You can go up to a friend and say, how can we have a really good relationship? They might not be on self-improvement. They might hate it. But you can still have nice, the energy, the love, just having a really nice conversation, something that's interesting. It doesn't always, technically this is still self-improvement because you're learning how to act, social skills, how to, have a good conversation. But you could say, to my one friend, I want to go to the cinema to you to watch films because I know you're really into the films and I want to hang out with you. Stuff like that. Because you wouldn't necessarily go with a brother to the cinema because it's not the most useful way to spend your time. And I think that's probably the key bit with friends and brothers.
Yeah. So I think this question's already been asked. Does this mean you should get rid of your friends and trade them out for brothers?
No, it does not.
Definitely not.
No. Sam, I think so. We've clearly identified how good brothers are, how it's helpful to have them. How can you find them?
Okay.
What is good tactics for finding these people?
So this is by far the most difficult question I think that we've prepared and that I've been asking myself for a long time personally. And I think one of the best ways which I recently discovered is join a sports team. We like to joke that I say that volleyball is the best self-improvement habit of all time, and I don't think that's true. But I have gotten so many benefits as a man from playing a team sport with other men and us succeeding together, not as individuals, but as a group. And that has really raised me up and given me a lot more confidence. And I do see them as brothers, even though it's not in the sense we have where I talk every day. It's because we have a goal, win matches, get good spikes, whatever, get tries in rugby, goals in football.
Yeah, collective goal that everyone wants.
Yeah, we have to work together to get it. And we have to criticize and push each other up in order to achieve that. And although that wouldn't be your main brother, if say you're a uni or you're in a small town or even a city, if you join a sports team, you're likely to find people who want to be your friends because they're there to socialize just as much as play. and they're also decently into self-improvement, at least in the box of that sport, and so they have that,
improving
and so they
in that
have,
domain.
so they have that itch, they have that
Hmm.
tendency to improve. And so even if they're just the brother that you go and talk to about that sport, they will usually be a more confident person because they're playing sports, and they will be more happy to kind of push you up, but also, not push you down, but criticize you where you need to be criticized and poke at your ego a bit. The other way, and this is something which I haven't tried, but I'm interested in trying once I move cities, is you just look up self-improvement groups near you.
Yeah.
I know there's one where I live, and it's all meant like mad variety of ages from like 18 to like 45. You can just go and you can just meet them in groups. You can meet them one-on-one. They go and do hikes together. They go and play sports together. I mean, and those are people looking for brothers. They're looking for their tribe.
I think, that's something that's just really good. So fundamentally, it's sort of networking, and you wanna find. It's sort of like a mentorship. So you want to find someone who's also on the journey. It could be, someone who's done what you want to achieve, so you can ask them and you can grow. Because remember, a mentorship is not a one-way thing. It's not you learning from this person. It's this person also learns from you through the mentorship. And Sam's 100% right. One of the easiest ways you can find potential brothers is through a sports team with a collective goal. And this is something which is true. So with your brotherhood, usually there are similar goals which you can interact on, you can talk about, you can grow. And your brother, you can have separate brothers for different goals. It's usually in a brotherhood with a group. So everyone's, brings something different to it. And there's a really good book. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And for those on Spotify, I did just hold up the book. Don't worry. And he talks about finding safe people. So one of the challenges or things to help you is you find 3 safe people, which are people you feel comfortable telling, personal things. Someone who's there to listen, understand, give advice without any judgment, without any criticism. That's the sort of person you want to find. And I think with the sports thing that Sam was building, brothers don't specifically exist. There are people, you find people of a similar sort of caliber. Some people like, oh, he's also into self-improvement. I want to, be friends with him. As this relationship develops, then you form a brotherhood relationship. So I don't think you could find a friend and then decide they're going to be the brother. You go through stuff together that brings you close, and then you can have the intention like, Sam, we're such good friends. We're also on the volleyball team. I really want to improve. Would you like to be my brother? Would you like to push me and have me push you? Do you want a type of relationship which isn't, it's sort of calling each other out. It's listening and giving advice instead of just oh yeah, nice spike, even though you dropped it or whatever. That
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
You got anything to add to that, Sam?
Don't rush it.
Don't rush it.
Listen, a brother is not something you need. It's something you find, and it's like they will be like an amazing companion, but don't force it. I chatted to Jack once before COVID, and I was like, whatever. Like, it's not a movie. There's no like scene where I'm like walking in, he like catches my eye, and then suddenly we soiree together. I don't know what that means, but we do it.
Stop. Yep.
Yeah.
Start dancing. And at the end of the montage of us being great friends, there's a business.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff. There's a brotherhood. No, Sam's exactly right. It takes time. And don't be discouraged if you don't have a brother. I would suggest, we've written a blog on this about sort of the key areas that you should focus your self-improvement journey on. And if you don't have a brother, you can journal. This can be something that can do a similar job. We'd focus recommending on, your exercise, your nutrition, stopping porn, your mental health. Those are the key areas that you find such a big gain. And from that baseline, that really strong foundation, you can start looking for brothers. You can, go more into depth into gymming or, find out when's your, stuff like that, your work. but don't feel discouraged if you don't have a brother. And I feel that it'll come to you at the time you sort of need it most. Like, say, I really want a brother now. I'm going to look for a brother. You'll find one. I wouldn't sort of start thinking, oh, I'm not going to start because I don't have a brother to do it with me. And Sam and I know I say it all the time, but I'm so grateful. And I think we're just blessed to have found each other at such an early age to go through this together.
Yeah, it's good luck. It's good.
It's amazing.
Good stuff. And yeah, I agree with you. And the thing is, what's interesting about our story is I don't think we were very close friends when we actually started the initial brotherhood dynamic, because we just both knew we wanted to succeed. And so that's more evidence. I mean, for the story, for the whole story, me and Jack were both into self-improvement. Jack heard me talking about it at school to some people, and he was like, came over to me or something and started talking to me about it. Yeah. Then it was lockdown in our country, and we decided we were going to have weekly meetings for self-improvement to keep ourselves accountable. And because we initiated with that kind of dynamic, we knew that, okay, talking to this guy is going to be high risk, high reward. My ego is going to be at risk. My soul is going to be getting better.
Yeah. We had during the period when we chatted, we did hang out, a couple of times before we went on, and we hung out in the Discord over lockdown for a little while, and then we decided that we wanted those weekly meetings. And I think from there, the Brotherhood really sort of started taking shape, and it's evolved over nearly 2 years. Is it? I feel like it's less than that or something, or longer. But amazing. It's so good. How can you determine? So we've talked about finding someone. How do you know if someone is worthy of being a brother? So you see that guy in volleyball and you think, what would be the key criteria that he needs to do?
Okay, so the bare minimum is that they have a goal, like a life goal. They have a purpose. They're not. You don't ask them what they did last weekend or the whole week, and they're like, well, I went to school, or I went to work, and did you see that new Netflix show? Or did you check out that new Marvel movie, the 485th one, where the superhero wins at the end?
Wow.
Yeah, I know, crazy. And so they will have a goal, they will have a purpose. It doesn't have to be the same as yours. That's not going to happen, right? Unless you build something together afterwards. They need to have a purpose. They need to be confident enough to bring you up on your bullshit. You can't have someone that's too below you or behind you. We'll say behind you on the self-improvement journey, right? Someone who's just begun. Because if they see you too much as like completely above them, then they're not going to criticize you and maybe I know what you're going to say. You're going to talk about how you can have a mentor, and that is someone who will be ahead of you. And I agree with you, but there is a danger that if that mentor is too far ahead of you on this journey, is ridiculously ahead of you, and you are treating them like a brother and not a mentor, that you will have so much respect for them and think that they've done everything right. And then one time they'll be like, yeah, I went to the brothel last week, or whatever, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then that's what I should do, and you can't not critically think about these circumstances.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it could just be someone who you'd feel comfortable with. So, I mean, could be your brother, could be your parents, could be a really close mate. And through time, and you need to set the intention. You can't. I think it's unfair on the other person if you go up to them and you start speaking your truths and that sort of stuff. They need to be, conscious of what's going to happen and agreeing to it. So you go, hey, mum, or hey, dad, would you be my safe person? Would you let me speak to you? Would you offer me advice and stuff like that? 100%.
So, Jack, do you think there are any keys for developing a brotherhood or a tribe, so a community of brothers?
I do. And there's a good sort of so David Dida, who's quite well known in masculine sort of self-help, he's written a book called The Way of the Superior Man, and he talks about how you need he sort of identifies a brotherhood without explicitly calling it, and he says every week you should sit down with your closest male friends and friend, maybe 5, maybe just one, and chat about where you are in life and what you're afraid of doing. And this shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Then your brothers should give you a behavioral experiment, which is the advice of something you can do to reveal more freedom, which is how he puts it. And they should challenge your mediocrity using brutal honesty. And then, it's the energy is challenging, but it's guidance, and it's still loving through that sort of area. And it says that your friends should be living at their edge and be trustable. So ideally you'd have someone who's also, into self-improvement, wants the same thing from you, as opposed to just a safe person who's there to listen. So your safe person is a good start, but it's not really a brother in the respect that they're happy to chat, they're happy to acknowledge, they could offer you some advice, but then they go and watch Netflix and eat junk food and watch porn, that sort of thing. And bonding exercise is something that can be very helpful. Through time and repetition is also good. And, have similar goals. Read a book together. So you could read No More Mr. Nice Guy as a group and chat about it and bring that up as a discussion. And I think those are the main things. So basically, you've got to feel comfortable with them. You've got to have the right intention. And then you've got to be willing to call them out. I think from there, the relationship builds. And it's just, yeah,
I agree with
so
you.
I think this brings me on to a really good, last question, which is how can I be a good brother for someone else?
Right. So now the shoe is on the other foot, and we're trying to think, okay, well, we found our brother, or maybe we found the person we want to be our brother, and we're thinking to ourselves, how can I make sure that not only do I get the most out of this person, and this person helps me, but how do I help them in return and make sure they fulfill their goals? The first thing you have to do is accept the fact that you're going to hurt their ego when you call them out on bad shit, okay? And if they are a true brother, as we talked about earlier, if they are worthy, they won't go, imagine you said to them, oh, well, why did you get up at 7? You said you were going to get up at 6. And they go, well, actually, my cat woke me up at 11 o'clock last night, and it was really annoying. And actually, why are you asking me that? Because it's none of your business. That's not a brother, okay? A brother would say, well, my cat did wake me up, but I could lock it down. That was a bit of an excuse, and yeah, I'll do better in the future. And so, if you're scared of hurting their ego, you're not going to give them the advice that they need, and that's really important. You also need to work yourself to the edge of your comfort zone and be just slightly outside of it for the whole of your relationship, because that's not when talking to them. Right, I'm not saying that you should be talking to them and shaking because you're so uncomfortable. That's in your whole life, when you're pushing yourself every single day and you're doing stuff that you would think they would be proud of you for doing.
I think that's a really nice thing. So you can use your brother as accountability and motivation through this.
And they will be doing the same for you. They should be wanting to make you proud and make sure you don't go, that's not good enough. And if they don't do well enough, you have to say, listen, man, you've been going downhill recently. What's been going on? Are you all right? That's not good enough. Well, what's up? And they might go, oh, no, man, I'm fine. And then you'd be like, you're not fine. You're not performing your best. You need to be brutal when it comes to their goals.
100%. You do need to make sure to have an explicit conversation to make sure that this is truly what they want. And it's something that happens with me and Sam. It hurts, man. It hurts when he calls me out. And I do, I notice in myself immediately trying to fire back with some excuse or some jab at him. And then I realize, no, he's right. He's right. It's true. It's someone else could look in without the emotions to logically understand where I'm at. And it's from there that, growth happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. So in summary, a brother is different from a friend because it's someone who won't just talk to you, who won't just try and make you laugh, but someone who will push you They will critique you, and they won't be afraid to hurt your ego in order to make you achieve your goals. Does this mean you should get rid of all your normal friends? No, because they're fun and it's cool. And you're even improving your own social life by hanging out with them, improving your overall well-being. How can you find these people? Go to a sports team. Find a group of men who want to improve. Okay? How can you be a good brother? Push yourself and push them.
Before we go on, a brother probably, if you're a man, a brother probably does need to be a man. Just as something we're going forwards.
That's a very good point.
Sorry, now back to the summary.
Any reason why?
Yeah, they will be more willing to be aggressive and against you. Or you could find a female who's very masculine in her energy, so she's driven and that sort of thing. But I think it's easier if a male to male, because there's no issues. You can be brutally honest. It's quite nice to hide from certain people, and if you don't feel comfortable with a woman, then you're more likely to be comfortable with a man.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
I agree with you. I think I agree with that. Like, men are just going to be more comfortable with men because there's also the horrifying possibility that, there's that belief that men and women can never be friends, and I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that belief, but I do think that there is grounding for it. And so, you might have a great female friend. You might be able to prove us wrong. And if you do, fair enough. But there is a saying that if there is a male-female relationship, there is always one, or friendship, there is a male and female friendship. There is always one of them that doesn't want it to be a friendship. And so I would watch out for that.
But this doesn't mean, can your brother just because it's a woman. Keep going. See if you can build that tribe. See if you can find more brothers. That sort of thing.
Well, Jack, to be fair, there have been about 12 times where I've said, "Oh, I wish you were a girl." So
yeah, he has said that, and it's not sure how I feel. So how can you determine if someone is worthy of being a brother? They come up to you with the right intention. They've got goals. They've got something you see, possibility, an ability to grow with them. Any keys for finding a tribe? Similar, possibly you find someone with a similar goal. You find multiple brothers, you bring them together. It's through the how do you find if someone's worthy? All these sort of things. And then you go, do you want to build a brotherhood? Multiple of us, stronger, monkeys together strong. And Sam, do you want to take the last one? How can you be a good brother for somebody? Not you personally, but...
The best way to be a good brother for someone is the best way to be a good person for yourself, okay? You're going to push yourself to the edge or beyond your comfort zone every single day. You're going to strive towards your goals like a rocket striving to the moon. And the most important thing is you need to hold them to your goals just as much as you're holding yourself to your own dreams. I think we're done.
100%. Yeah. I would just add that it will take time to learn to be, to call them out and to be butting heads at some point, even. But through time, you'll be grateful that it happens. And, you'll learn through time. And, with more brothers, more experiences.
And don't give up.
Don't give up. There we go. Just improve a little bit every day. All right. Thank you for listening. This has been the Next Step Help podcast on difference. Brothers versus friends. That's it. I've got nothing to add.
If you're interested in affordable one-to-one coaching for lifestyle design and helping you reach your dreams and your goals, check out our website, nextstephelp.net, and try a free consultation call to see if you're right for the program. Thank you, everybody, for listening.